Alright guys, so in this video we're going to talk about a stock I bought right kind of sort of before earnings. We're going to talk about what their earnings were and what they did, because they did release their earnings on Monday, August 3rd. At the time of me filming this, it's Friday, August 7th. Yeah, August 7th. So they've already been out, they've already been reported, and we're going to talk about them, and we're going to talk about my thought process behind this stock and this stock in general. But first, if you do like this video, if you do get value out of this video, please like the video and please subscribe to the channel and turn that notification bell on. It really helps the channel grow. We're gonna have a lot more videos like this and there's a lot more to come. Second, if you are new to stocks investing, you aren't really sure what earnings is, it's basically just company profits, guidance on where the company is going in the coming quarters, simple things like that. Anyway, the stock I bought today was Cirrus Logic, and Cirrus Logic is basically voice processing amplifiers, or in other words, like microchips like you see in iPhones and iPads. So if you're watching this video on an iPhone or iPad, that means my voice is being projected through the Cirrus Logic product. And Cirrus Logic actually is the leader in this industry. They're the leading supplier, and their customers include the top 8 original equipment manufacturers, which include Apple. And remember that Apple is one of their customers. It's gonna be very important for this video. And from a competition aspect, you must be thinking, well, this must be a pretty competitive industry, especially if Apple's involved, because everyone has an iPhone or iPad nowadays. I honestly can't even think of anyone off the top of my head that doesn't own some sort of Apple product. I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure there's some out there, but I really can't think of any off the top of my head right now. So in saying that, you might be wondering what sets this company apart from their competitors. What's so special about this company that makes them the first choice in signal processing? And the simple answer is Cirrus focuses solely on audio chips. Other semiconductor companies have their hands in a lot of different areas. For example, Qualcomm. Qualcomm is a semiconductor company, but it also has its hands in the 5G pool, just for a basic example. And I don't have anything against Qualcomm. I actually watch it pretty closely, but they don't focus solely on audio chips like Cirrus Logic does. Cirrus is also the supplier for 2 of the top 3 truly wireless headset brands and the top 2 smart home OEMs. But anyway, let's get back to the Apple part. And to summarize this, I don't really think Apple is going to be going anywhere anytime soon, if you know what I mean. I feel like I could even start running Apple, become the CEO, and that company would have to really do something wrong to not stay afloat. Which means as long as Cirrus continues to do what it's doing, as long as it keeps Apple and its other 7 OEMs happy, it's really going to set itself up well for the future. Now that's important because Cirrus wants to expand its partnerships with these companies in fiscal year 2021. And if you're a little confused by this, Cirrus Logic, when you're in the year 2020, their fiscal year is actually 2021. So they're already in their fiscal year 2021. Now, why do they have this set up like that? I honestly have no idea. But if Cirrus does continue to work with Apple, this could lead to some major breakthroughs in the voice biometrics department. Imagine selling 1,000 products for $4 a product for a total of $4,000. Now you can charge $5 per product and you still sell 1,000 products, and now you have $5,000 in profit. You just increased your revenue by 20% just like that. Now imagine that on more of a scalable level. If Cirrus can do that with Apple and voice biometrics, I think you get the point I'm trying to make here with how much more money they can bring in. Now look at how this company has grown over the past 10 years. This business that was $221 million 10 years ago is now grown to over $1 billion. They did have a drop off in 2019, but that was because that was when iPhones first started changing the iPhone jack, and a lot of people weren't really ready to part with their old jack transmitter, however you want to refer to it as, and they had this little dongle or adapter thing that came out. Well, Cirrus actually was the one that made that dongle, which led to the big jump from the fiscal year 2016 to fiscal year 2017 that you see right here. And unfortunately, that dongle did end up disappearing, and that's where they got that big drop in the fiscal year 2019. But they did go right back to growing in the fiscal year 2020. But anyway, as a whole, starting from where they were in 2010 and just seeing that growth that they've seen over the past 10 years, I really think on paper, this company has shown that it can perform and it can continue to grow over time. Now let's get into why I bought this company. Maybe you might be thinking, maybe we should have waited to see how their profits take a hit, how many products they're selling, that type of thing. And I said no, and that's for a very simple reason, and that's because of Apple. And if you listened to me earlier in the video, you already knew this was coming. Cirrus gets an absolute disgusting amount of revenue from Apple. Disgusting. They get almost 80% of their revenue from Apple. Now granted, if Apple doesn't have the best quarters, most likely Cirrus doesn't have the best quarter. And that's just how it goes. That's kind of what you go with. But Apple's basically unstoppable. Like, they just continue to grow. They amaze me more and more. The more I look into this company, the more I read about this company, it just blows my mind. And this past quarter, Apple absolutely killed it. Sales were up 11% despite virus disruptions. And as I talked about, Cirrus puts those chips in Apple products. The revenue Apple reported was the highest ever in its third quarter. They beat revenue by over $7 billion, and that's not a typo, $7 billion. The EPS they reported was over 50 cents more than what was expected. And the iPhone revenue alone beat by over $4 billion. And once again, you guys know about Cirrus and iPhones and Apple products. And if that was enough, look at the iPad and the Mac revenue. The iPad revenue beat estimates by almost $2 billion and Mac by over $1 billion. And on top of all this, more and more people are working from home. And for typical office workers, I really personally don't see any reason to go back to the office until this passes. Mainly because if you can do your job from home and it's not that big of an inconvenience, does it really make sense to go back to the office and risk that exposure? Don't get me wrong, if you're a waitress, you gotta go to work. If you're, say, you deliver furniture, you gotta go to work. But if you can do everything you can from the comfort of your home as opposed to going to a typical office setting, I really don't see the point in taking that risk at this point in time. But anyway, if more employees are working from home, that means the company has to supply them with computers or even phones. And when companies supply people with those computers or phones and they use them to talk on the phone or meetings on Microsoft Teams or Zoom or anything along those lines, and they're on Mac products, guess where that comes into play? That's right, Cirrus Logic. Now looking back at the earnings, because they are out now, obviously, because it's not Monday, it's Friday. Like I said at the beginning of this video, they did beat their earnings. They beat on revenue by 17.4 million, and that was near the upper end of the company's guidance. And they beat their GAAP earnings by 25 cents. Now this stock has dipped since earnings. It has actually, I think, gone down almost every day. Maybe not every day, but 3 out of the 4 days, I think, because earnings are on Monday, so Tuesday through Friday. And that really doesn't scare me away from it. I'm still really big into it. I'm a really big fan of Apple, and I'm a really big fan of this company and everything I've seen from it. And as it goes lower, I'm gonna continue to buy more. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this insight on Cirrus Logic. If you liked the video, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you think of Cirrus Logic in the comments down below.